am Dr. Nidhi Khare. In today's lecture, I am going to talk about the cross-cultural dimensions by Hofstede. Students, management's practices suited for one cultural environment may bring about undesirable consequences in another. To avoid such problems, modern managers have to understand the core concept of the culture. Professor Geert Hofstede defines national culture as the collective programming of the human mind that distinguishes one group or category of people from another. In other words, that what many members of a group have in common and by which they distinguish themselves from other groups is called culture. Commonalities are being transferred from generation upon generation, especially from parents to their children, not by what they say, but by how they behave in emotionally crucial situations. Now that doesn't mean that national cultures don't change, but at the deepest level, that is the level of values, cultures may change only slowly. An organization is less complex and less diffuse than a nation. Most organizations have clear objectives, for instance, profit making, and most activities within organizations are aimed at realizing such objectives. The research of Geert Hofstede has shown that cultural differences between nations are specially found on the deepest level, that is, on the level of values. In comparison, cultural differences among organizations located within the same national culture arena are specially identified on the level of practices. Practices are more tangible than values, which also allows for a more precise and specific definition. Hofstede has made a distinction into 4 layers when describing culture. On the deepest level, we find values. Values have been defined by him as broad preferences for one state of affairs over others to which strong emotions are attached and by which one group distinguishes itself from other groups. Values refer to such preferences as freedom over equality or equality over freedom. We define organizational culture as the way in which members of an organization relate to each other, relate to their work, and relate to the outside world that distinguishes them from other organizations. So when looking at relations among members of an organization, culture describes among many things like the way a superior relates to direct reports. For example, will superiors experience contradiction by direct reports as disloyal behavior? The way direct reports relate to their direct boss, for example, will they speak out their mind or do they go into their shell when situations become precarious? The way colleagues on the same hierarchical level relate to each other. For example, will they help a colleague out when looking at relations to their work? Culture describes many things like whether people will emphasize meticulous task execution or instead are looking for innovative solutions. Whether managers are specially short-term directed or whether they try to learn from things going wrong. Whether rules have to be followed at all cost or whether rules are dealt with in a pragmatic way. When looking at relations to the outside world, culture describes whether people are inward-looking or are outward-looking, whether outsiders are made welcome right away or whether you first have to prove yourself, and whether clients are always right or whether we know what is best for them. So these are some aspects which the culture describes. Now in the next lecture, I'm going to talk about Hofstede's dimensions of national culture, There are 4 dimensions: power distance, uncertainty avoidance, individualism collectivism, and masculinity femininity. All these I will describe in details. And in the subsequent lecture, I'll be talking about some steps for adjusting an international scenario. Thank you.